Hello, you're very welcome to the Unofficial AFI Weekly, your weekly AFI show here with Daragh, Chris as a returning guest, and Rain. Boys,
Hello.
how are we?
I'm good. Weird,
Yeah.
faceless voice in the distance.
Yes, unfortunately, if you listened in last week, myself and Alex Sims, who is still yet to arrive on the show, I am told he is going to be arriving any second, made a gentleman's wager that if the Mavericks beat the Rhinos last week, which they did, I would have to wear a 49ers jersey on air. Unfortunately, Alex, first of all, was very nice to provide a 49ers jersey. He knew already which player I hated most, or he seemed to telepathically know it. But my camera's not working this week.
Likely story.
I cannot do anything about. Look.
It didn't work during
trying
the
to fix it.
stream
Just
over the weekend.
It's like you know yourself, Chris. You saw Sunday.
We were at that for an hour trying to get that to work, and it just wouldn't.
Yeah, well, we had plenty of spare time anyway in that game too, so to do anything else but actually try and get it working. But we couldn't get it working. I can get everything else working. Look, see, different transitions, everything's working, but I can't get it. But look, listen, when Alex comes in, I'll explain it to him. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine, right? Yeah, it'll be fine.
He's a tolerant man.
No, he is. And he obviously does not care much for time either because he is running on a couple of minutes late for a 7:30 show. So, but we are here to look back, not just at last weekend, but we're going to have a look back at some of the wider regular season of the AFI because we have pretty much a week break. There is a fixture this weekend between the Vipers and the Razorbacks. Just as I say that, here he is. Here is the victorious Sims right here. How are you, Pud?
Good, buddy. Good. Yeah, just not seeing your image come up there.
I just explained to open the show. My camera just decided it doesn't want to work. So I'd like look. I'll do it again. I'll try fix it again. See, no, I just can't fix it. It's just not working. I might press something there that I shouldn't have. I hope I'm still online at the moment. But yeah, I don't know.
Disgraceful.
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
Look, you were very nice to provide the jersey. You were. And look, listen, it's not you I'm afraid of not fulfilling this bet anyway. It's not even your brother. It's Mammy Sims that I'm terrified of.
Yeah. Well,
not doing this
on Sunday or Saturday.
She knew as she was driving away. She said she knew. Where is she? Portaventura. She said she's going to be waiting for it. So I don't know. But look, I'll try. Hold on, let me just. Hey, there we go. Got to work.
Oh, there we go.
Come down.
What you mean? Yeah. You can see me, can't you?
Yeah, hey. But it's set. Your camera's set for a normal heighted man.
Yes, this is Darragh's normal height.
But according to a Mr. Sean McVay, I have the personality of a 6'8" All Pro. So
absolutely,
I'm up there. All right, fine. There we go. Mute the camera. Happy?
Boo.
What?
No balls.
I'm not happy.
It's cold. It's cold today.
Take it off.
Devil's in the detail of the bet as well. He never specified that it had to be the outer layer.
I could be wearing it underneath here.
This may
could be
now
that
you're Patreon, but Daragh, take your top off.
No, that's only on the OnlyFans. He's
the OnlyFans,
yeah.
No, it's yeah. Look, listen, I'm a man of my word. Okay, fine, I'm a man of my word.
Please be a second jumper under there.
I should have done a second jumper. I should have.
Yeah, what a gag.
I'm a man of my word. There you go. Fair play. Oh. You won on Saturday. Fair dues. You've won the first one. Don't worry. We'll get the second one. So I'm not too worried about that. How are you, Alex, anyway?
All good. Yeah. Issues getting herself to bed. So delayed me a little bit. But yeah, good to see you. Good to see you rocking the red and gold, the 49ers.
You have to put Mammy Sims to bed?
Not yet. No, another few years before it go down that avenue.
Anyway, yeah. So look, listen, like I said, we're going to look back at some of the bigger moments around the season so far. We're also, of course, going to look back on the games from last. We have 7 games in total to look back and speak about. We'll start with Saturday's games, and we'll start with probably the biggest game on Saturday in terms of clinching scenarios, and that was, of course, the Belfast Trojans at home to the Cork Admirals, winning by 27 points to 18. Chris, congratulations, first of all, on being an official member of the playoff club.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, how, obviously a fantastic start to the game. I think was it going 27-0 up at one stage, or 21 up, 21-0, 21
It was
0.
20 now.
Yeah, and obviously held on to the win despite a fight back from Cork towards the end, to seal your place in the playoffs and head to UCD in little over a week and a half's time.
Yeah, it was always a great game. Cork showed up with low enough numbers. I think it was 18 or 19. But they brought it. They did not pull any punches. But we went in, we got everyone on the same page before we came out of the tunnel. And it was, we have a job to do, let's execute. And I would say for the majority of that game, it wasn't about playing Cork. It was just about playing Trojan football, our brand of football. We had fun out there. And, when you come to face a team like Cork, which is tough, and you're sitting there and everything's clicking and everything's working, and it's just like, we have busted our balls off this entire season. And now, we're seeing the fruits of our labor. Then halftime, went in, came back out, and it was kind of right. We really want to put this game completely to bed and start getting into a bit of playoff work in, a bit of get some guys on the field, bit of rotation, put everything together. But yeah, good team win. Great day. Cork put a bit of fear in this at the end, but we got there.
You can't have it all your own way, Chris. You can't make it too easy for yourselves. So, keep the fight going.
Got to keep the fans excited.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. I know the halftime pizza and stuff is quite fun, but
yeah, I did get to come out of the changing rooms, or the locker room, and I was walking back to the pitch, and there was my wife holding my daughter first in the queue for the pizza. Pizza's not out yet, but she's in the queue. She's got her little coupon, and my daughter is losing her shit. She does not want to wait on the pizza. She wants to go and do something more fun.
Yes.
So yes.
Brilliant. Rian, that's I know you missed last week, and we were sort of previewing the game, and Cork's recent resurgence, especially on offense, was always going to pose a threat. But the Trojans' defense has shown all season that they are a stout bunch that don't concede many points, and that's exactly what happened on Saturday, and obviously was enough to get them into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that Kennedy connection that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks has been heating up immensely. Shame that we're not going to see them going into the postseason. But yeah, the Trojans kind of put a stop to that tandem pretty well, particularly in the first half of the game. Obviously conceded those points in the second half, but that was always going to be the case against a very, very strong Cork offense. So all credit to the Trojans on that one. I wish, to be honest, I had a connection similar to the Kennedys with my own brother Fionn, but he has bricks for hands, as he's proven time and again this season.
We'll get into that. Don't worry, we'll get into that. I have the picture saved, ready to go. Don't worry. Yeah, Alex, as well, just on the Admiral side, yeah, the like I mentioned, the resurgence, it did come just a little too late for them. But nonetheless, that they still should take, confidence in the fact that they are playing a much better, not much better. Like they've been working on stuff all season to get Jay Kennedy more comfortable in the quarterback position. But now they can take confidence knowing that they are able to score points on good teams, to go into the Shield game now, the Shield playoff against the Vikings, and hopefully make it to a final against the Knights in Blanchardstown, actually.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like that's exactly what the Shield is there for. The Admirals probably think they've had a disappointing season by their standards, but it's also putting down, I think, important building blocks for the future of the organization as well. Like Jake Kennedy's a young QB. He's going to be there a while. Like we don't know next year. Stephen Hayes could be back for the year, or could be going for the second year under Jake there. So that's an important building block. Everything, no season is truly wasted as long as you take something away from it, And they'll have plenty of things they'll have learned this season that Jake will have learned, the coaches will have learned there, that they can put into next season and just building for the future. At the same time, they also have an opportunity to win some silverware here. So their season isn't done, which is great. I think it's got to be really positive. It's only I think we've all been talking about the Shield and looking forward to it, but now you really see teams who might otherwise have the season is done now and that's it for another few months. They've got a bit of football left. Try a few different things out for next year, see what works, see what, you think, oh, that almost worked. If we tweak it in this way, we can come back and have that one in our back pocket for next year. So yeah, I mean, it's by no means a waste of a season. It's obviously going to be disappointing for the Admirals, but they've still got football to look forward to. The Trojans were doing exactly what they wanted to do at the start of the season, get into that playoff dance here and see, can you give the UCD another tough game? And, when you have close games like that, it only takes one or two plays and the result can be turned either way. So the Trojans will, as you say, with their defense, it's been good this year. It's been really strong. So they'll look to put the clamps on UCD as much as they can and see, can they pick them off with some clever plays here and there.
Yeah. And Chris, although I am happy that you are making playoffs, I am disappointed in some aspect because now you won't be available for comms duty for the UCD game because you'll be a little busy.
Mic me up.
Live mic and player cam would be just
stick level. A GoPro to the front of the Zenith, drop a mic in, it'll be perfect.
Watch Chris sit on the bench and eat pizza for the game. Yeah,
I'm not even going to argue with you, Alex. I'm not going to. You've been popping that joke all season. As long as it makes you feel okay.
It does. Makes me feel great.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
In the goal 2 years ago, you bastard.
I know. Yeah, it's weird that I've won more bowls than you. Yet I'm the bench guy. You gotta win one this year, or you just sort of come second again, bud.
I will see. We'll see.
Or third.
Apologies, Daragh. Alex opened this up. Alex started.
Right, let's move on then. Let's move on to the other game, the Premier Division on Saturday. That is the Dublin Rebels 27 and the Minotaurs 0. Now, before we actually talk about the game, interesting little side notes on this. Obviously, the Rebels, first of all, heading into the game, knew what they needed to do. They needed to put up a high enough score. They were already down technically 22 points on UCD heading into the game. So they wanted to obviously have to get a high score if they wanted to have a chance of taking that one seed. But Alex, I don't know if you were hearing the same things when we were up in Dundalk on Saturday after the game. We saw the results and we were quite surprised. And then a certain president was telling us that Ty Henry wasn't playing until that game because he was obviously nursing an injury. I guess my question is, are you surprised more now hearing that obviously Ty played the game and that was only 27 points? Whereas whereas before where we thought Ty didn't play, and maybe if it was Greg that was playing, that maybe a 27-0 victory was more along the lines of what we would have expected. No disrespect now to Greg playing quarterback or anything like that, but obviously there's there's the Ty Henry level, which is, exceeds almost every other quarterback in the country.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you've only got one leg and your head can only turn to a 45-degree angle, how effective of a quarterback are you going to be?
Sounds good.
I don't know how much the injury from 2 weeks ago was still affecting Ty on Sunday, or was it no effect? Was he totally fine? I don't know. We'll never know that. Ty certainly will never tell us that. So it's hard to really get a good read of it. Yes, it's a surprising that it wasn't such a big margin, but I mean, at the same time, there's only so many times you can absolutely murder a team without it getting a little old. I mean, I'm sure they didn't take their foot off the gas or anything, but I think I don't know if is there a certain point where maybe they didn't think it was achievable, or maybe they prefer to play the Panthers. I don't really know. There's probably no clear explanation for it. It's probably a combination of factors that led to it being a smaller score than we expected. But maybe the Minotaurs just showed up and said, it's our last game. Get Big Bill Doherty on the defensive line, bulk it up there, and stop some fuckers. I don't know. It's it was a pretty moot result anyway. Certainly, obviously the bigger the score, the more the UCD would have had to do. But in the end, I don't think there's really what would Rebels have to have scored to beat UCD's total there, and then they would have had to.
Obviously,
70.
In hindsight, I guess what was it? They won by 42, and then the 22. So that's 64. 60. So you would have to win 65 now.
Yeah. So big ask there.
Like we mentioned in the preview, though, they did beat the same Minotaurs team 58-0 last year. Obviously, with a fully fit Ty Henry, so that has to be accounted for. I understand that.
Yeah, maybe they were trying out things as well. Trying to install stuff late in the day to kind of be like, right, well, this is stuff we can use, so that might work in the playoffs or whatnot. We'll never know what the reason is, but the Rebels won't be too concerned. I don't think they'll fancy themselves against anyone. They'll think 2 seed, 1 seed, right? Whatever. We just know we've got the Panthers next. We got to be ready to give them all we've got and make it to another bowl game.
To be honest, I think we're doing the Minotaurs a bit of a disservice here to be automatically giving the Rebels before a down is even played like a 60-0 win. The Minotaurs, even with the season that they've had with those 8 losses, they have still put up decent performances against some excellent teams. So I think we're doing them a bit of a disservice going, well, it must have been something the Rebels did wrong as opposed to something that the Minotaurs did right. I think maybe they just showed up on the day. Obviously, I wasn't there myself, but everybody in that Premier Division is capable of putting it up to any given team on any given day. So, yeah, I just want to credit the Minotaurs for keeping it as close as they did. I know they didn't get on the board at all, but I mean, that Rebels defense has been pretty stout all season.
Yeah, having played them the week previous, I can guarantee you, without even being there, without even knowing, that the Minotaurs were more up for this game than the Rebels were. Those guys will have gone down and went, you know what, these are our last 4 quarters of SBC football. We're going down. Let's go down swinging. And they would have give absolutely everything through the kitchen sink just because nothing to prove, nothing to lose. We in a way underestimated them the week previous, and they hit us a slap in the face and they shot us. I think the same thing could have happened here.
And look, the point of it was not to obviously disrespect the Minotaurs and what they've done, because there has been an awful lot of a good few of their games this year that have been 1-score affairs that could have gone the other way, and we could be talking about them getting a seeding in the Shield, and maybe a Knights or a Vikings we could be talking about being relegated at the moment, But sometimes bad things happen at the best times, in terms of getting relegated is bad, but with the numbers that they've struggled with in the last few weeks, maybe it's the best thing for them to go down, retool, not saying that they have to go straight up straight away, although straight back up, I should say. I know that would be their plan. But a year maybe in Division 1 helps them rebuild a little more. They have their U team going now, so that's another year that gives the U team time to come into. So, you know, like I said, yes, bad that they're getting relegated, but could be coming at a good time.
Yeah, I think if you were to take records out of the equation and put everyone on 0-0 and then audit every team to say one goes down, I think the Minotaurs are the one that need that help of D1, that little bit of buffer, that little rebuild to let them come back.
They'll be licking their chops as well at the prospect of getting good, strong wins next season, building up that roster. Wins are always a confidence booster, regardless of what level they're happening at. So, yeah, this D1 might be exactly what they need. They could get themselves a bit of silverware at the end. I know they'll fancy themselves to compete with whoever is left in that division come next season. So, yeah, this could be one step forward or one step back for 2 steps forward in the future.
Yeah, Joe Kinnan could be the second podcast host to give Alex Sims a silver medal. I got you back. I got you back.
Right. Let's move on then to the other game on Saturday. And before we do that, Chris, Aaron McCarroll says Skinhead Chris is a handsome Chris.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Is that because I haven't sorted out his manscape yet?
Possibly he's trying to charm his way to getting some of that nice juicy Manscaped stuff.
Yes, Aaron, of course, being the more handsome of McCardle mates. Alex, you're not supposed to agree with that.
That I was going to say that is a view not shared by this podcast. That we will not. That is a view solely shared by Chris McGee.
Yep.
Both McCardles are equally beautiful.
Subscribe, subscribe to the podcast Patreon page to see the full breakdown of Alex's most sexy Mavs lineman. Premium content. I had to put a behind the paywall.
Hey, look, listen. The Chris and Green Zone had the sexy ball for jerseys. You can have the sexy lineman ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
behind
that
the
is some
Boys Club.
That is prime off-season material that we're going to need to keep it going until the NFL season starts. Anyway,
we all know how linemen love a blonde, so I'm just they're always throwing me the compliments on the field.
As a linebacker, and I can understand why your D linemen want you so close as well. They just love that blonde hair for sure. Listen, Loud Mavericks 30. West Dublin Rhinos 0 on Saturday. The Mavericks went out to an early 14-0 lead through touchdowns by, sorry, I have my stuff here. Or Alex, touchdowns by?
Nathan Hurtley ran one in. He passed one to Oisin Finn. I think Alan Minto ran in 2, but they were both called back for flags, so he gets nothing. The other Russian touchdowns must have been Dan Finley and Deck Mulville got a Russian touchdown, yeah.
A Russian touchdown?
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a rush, it was more of a lumber, Deck. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say he's watching too many Eagles football games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Philadelphia, not Wexford. Yeah, so look, listen, good win for you guys. Secure second spot, secure the home playoff. We get to do it all over again in a little over a week's time. Look, on the Rhino side of things, yeah, we didn't do ourselves justice on Saturday. First, we are struggling a little bit with numbers for that week. It was, that's just the way it was. I think that was the lowest numbers we've had all season. Again, no excuse, guys. We should have went out and did our job, but fair play to, first of all, the Mavs defense for obviously keeping us to 0, and obviously congrats to the offense for running and passing the ball and moving the ball when you needed to and scoring. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of tough because I think both teams are probably going to be in the same position that when you I know it wasn't confirmed, but you kind of have the idea that both teams are going to face each other again, that it turns into a game of chess, and that nobody wants to, or should I say poker, because no one's showed a hand too early. Chess is, yeah, you know what I mean. But it's a great confidence booster for the Mavs. Reen, I'll hand it over to you on this one. Like that 30-0 win for Loud, secure second spot. They get to do it all again, and they're going to go into this game in the semi-final rightly with confidence high.
Yeah, 100%. It's tough for me to sit here and pontificate while there are two players who played in the game sitting to my left-hand side. But what I will say is, yes, the Mavericks have looked very, very good all season. I would consider maybe Cowboys Mavericks as a 1A, 1B situation, more so even than what we have in the Premier Division. So the Mavericks have been very, very good all season, considering they have had 2 games less than everybody else for the most part. It's been a pretty impressive showing. I think as well, their home field advantage is probably one of the bigger ones. They might tend to draw a bit of a crowd down to the rugby club in Dundalk there. So yeah, they're gonna be happy with that going into the next game. Obviously, having home field advantage in that semi-final, but it's one of those things. It's tough to beat a team twice in a season, so the Rhinos will really be looking at that and going, well, they've got the win out of the way, so we need to make it even this go around. So yeah, it'll be a very interesting battle coming into a week's time, and hopefully it's a little bit closer than this game was.
Oh, you're on mute
there.
You're still on mute there.
Still on mute.
Still on mute. Sorry, I was giving the secret recipe of my bolognese away. It doesn't matter. No, Jack Compton and Alan Minto are both in the chat, and they're saying Saturday games over Sunday games, and I fully agree.
Oh,
Saturday games the lash after them.
Saturday games just hit different.
Yeah, no, they're great. I think you would definitely feel you'd miss the Sunday games if we went all Saturdays, but I do like the mix. Like, I mean, we've had 2 Saturday games this year, and it's been perfect. Like, it's great. But I do think there is something classic about a Sunday afternoon matchup as well. So I wouldn't like to see them switch to full-time Saturdays, but I like the mix we've got at the minute. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Reen, you're very right. Going on the lash afterwards is so much better than having to book a day off from work. Also, I should give shout out to former Pirate teammate Dom Collins, who decided that he wanted to play heads up on me all game, which was fun. Felt like a training session all over again. And also, I heard he had a really, really good time on Saturday night. Speaking of going on the lash after Saturday games, so good on Dom.
Yeah, he was supposed to come home with me, but when Mammy Sims came for me at midnight, he was like, "No, the night goes on." So I abandoned him. He left him behind and just said, "Right, you sort yourself out, mate." I think he crashed in someone's kitchen at about 2:30 in the morning or something.
Nice. Chris, I haven't got to you on this one. I don't know if you have anything else to add on the game before we move on.
Well, yeah, this is exactly how I thought it was going to go.
Thanks.
Sorry, this is the Mavericks who are playoff qualified. They have sat in their clubhouse eating their kebab pizza and went, look, mathematically, we can come first. Realistically, Jets Cowboys is going to throw a complete spanner in the works. So you know what? This last game is playoff mode. We're going to come out, we're going to get the job done and keep half our cards in our back pocket, which is much the same as what happened between the Mavs and UL last season, where everyone was going, oh yeah, this is going to be an absolutely electric match, and it was like 3-2 or something like that. Once it was all said and done. This was a clinical, get the job done, don't show any more than you need to and get out of there. Alex, you can correct me saying that you actually are the Mavs, but this is what I feel that you guys have done every year. You did the same thing to us when we were with the Jets 2 years back. So yeah, this is what you do.
Yeah, well, look, as Dex says, we never really let the game or the other team dictate how we play. We just go out and play the way we know how to play, and we just think that that'll yield the best results in the long run. So we went out there, we played, we didn't we weren't really holding anything back. Maybe the coaches are just not telling me because they know. I mean, that's worse than useless telling me. Everyone will know then I'm on a podcast, for Christ's sake. So it certainly wasn't a case of holding nothing back. We just went out there, said we might as well give the Rhinos a good game and let them know that when if we win this when they come back up to Dundalk again, they're really gonna have to be on it to beat us, and that's what we believe. We believe we can beat anyone in this division on our day. So we'll be hoping to go out and do it again to the Rhinos in 2 weeks' time, but we know they'll be coming locked and loaded and ready to go. I'm sure they weren't messing around either. It's not like they were totally just dicking about back there. They were trying as well. So we're happy with the results on the day, and we want to put it together again in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, also, big shout out to our family fund day, which was great. We raised €500 for the Little Blue Heroes charity. So
awesome!
That's great work. Thanks to all the people who came down.
Was there pizza?
Excellent stuff.
There was extra kebab pizza ordered and a heap of baked ale leftovers in the clubhouse afterwards.
Oh, beaut.
Yeah.
Pizza.
I think there was a beautiful sight after the game where, well, first of all, unfortunately, the pizza ran a little late and there was a lot of angry linemen waiting for a bit of food at one stage. But then the food did arrive, and I think there was a stack, of about 10 to 12 pizzas on the table, all kebab pizzas just waiting to be taken. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, the Mavs do not fuck about with this pizza party, at all. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Kebab to the walls, and one margarita put aside for me.
Oh, yeah, right now.
Yeah, the herald of kebab pizza. I've never actually had one, so can't even judge it on its merits.
I must say though, Alex and his pre-game mind games are just something else. After I've gotten changed, walking towards the pitch down that hill, and Alex sees me and he goes, "Oh, would you like a cookie from the bake sale?" And I go, "No, I'll take it tomorrow. I might have it afterwards." He goes, "Are you sure it's vegan?" You dirty fucker. No way.
That's gonna play on your mind for just days.
That was how dare he think I'm gonna have one of them. But look, to be fair, I do believe that, and I know you're saying that you're gonna play your game and stuff like that, but I do believe you were holding some stuff maybe aside just for the semi-final, because at no point in the game did I see you line up for a field goal and have 12 men on the field.
Oh, they were holding that back, to be fair.
Yeah, we were.
Dak was at the sideline holding on to the guy. Don't go on.
We attempted 2 field goals on Saturday, and neither of them were successful with 11 on the field. So, I think that just tells us something we got to get
out the big guns for next week.
Somewhere.
You need a guy there for moral support.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on then. Like I said, we get to do all over again Saturday week again in Loud, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great game. We will move on to Sunday's games, and we'll go back to the Premier Division, and we'll talk about this UCD Panthers game, Chris. We had the pleasure to commentate on the game. And then realized after it got to about over 3 hours, why the hell did we do this?
Yep.
Considering it was a blowout and the longest blowout in I think AFI history, probably. Tons of laundry. Don't know for what in the end. I don't even know why it was. But anyway, 62 points, 20. UCD were just clinical from minute one. Their defense swarmed the Panthers. On offense, they scored on each one of their opening 4 drives. absolutely clinical. But the highlight of the whole game, and I just have to say, was Fionn finally meeting his maker. Because if you listen to this podcast, you know that Fionn publicly stated he did not know or care who Brandon Atwell was. He knows now because we were gifted this photo from Sunday. Fionn, unfortunately, is not here this evening to defend himself or take his licks. But first of all, a fantastic photo. Second of all, if you did watch the live stream, you would have seen Fionn drop an interception as well. And I think Rain, as his brother, you're keeping count on interceptions dropped, and I think he's at about 4 now.
4 in the past 3 games for sure. Yeah. To be fair, on this tackle, just a little bit of brotherly love. He ended up making the tackle. He stopped Brandon Atwell. So even though it looks like he's been absolutely manhandled, which he is, he made the stop, and that's what counts.
Atwell's hit him that hard. He's looking a different direction. But what I was going to say before that was, it's not a dropped interception. It's a pass breakup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is DBs all day. They have bricks for hands, a lot of them. So, yeah. Pass deflections.
Yeah.
Got to hit the seatbelt celebration, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I refuse to make interceptions out of principle. It's just too much running to do.
You have to go against the scary lineman as well, to be fair. That's not me. No.
Yeah, O linemen love an opportunity to do D lineman things.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get the tackle. I miss that's the one thing with D-line I miss is being able to tackle, and I don't get to. Anyway, but yeah, the game itself. I have the stats here. First of all, on the Panthers side of things, it was Matty O'Mara with 2 rushing touchdowns and Connor Hoskins with a rushing touchdown of his own. Now, just buckle yourselves in here for this one. So, there was a receiving touchdown for Daragh Mooney. Brandon Atwell had 2 rushing touchdowns and converted 6 2-point tries as well. Pete Masterson had a receiving touchdown. Cian Lawler had a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Joe Carroll, rookie quarterback, had a rushing touchdown and threw the passing touchdown to Cian Lawler, so he had one of his own. And Tom McAniff had a 2-touchdown game as well. So, absolutely massive. Even though UCD only needed, 5 points, 6 points to secure the first 1 seed going into this game, they said, fuck that. They smelt blood and they went straight for the jugular of the Panthers, and they were just ruthless, lads.
UCD got some serious fucking depth. Like, serious goddamn depth. The rotations near the latter part of the game, and now there is an element of the Panthers have just been slapped around for 3 quarters, so they're not going to be firing on cylinders. But yeah, like, those guys are drilled, whether it be first, second, or third string, and it's amazing to see. It's fantastic to see, especially because they are a younger team, and getting those guys in the younger age to play the game. It's absolutely fantastic. What I will say is I was very impressed with Big Ben Irreligan on the Panthers D-line. I think he's had a really, really good season, and he did fantastic well in that game. He had a lot of pressure coming through.
Yeah. Alex, Rain, anything to any views of your own on that game to add, despite the fantastic?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers were obviously without a head coach at the weekend, or they certainly didn't declare one before the match. I'm sure they had one in principle, but obviously there's been no real public statement on what the situation is at the moment, is there?
Not to my knowledge. It's unofficially public, you could say.
Yeah. So basically, for those that don't know, I don't believe that Coach O'Sullivan is the head coach of the Dublin Panthers anymore. He was suspended for this game in any case due to an on-field incident from a previous match. So that was all. That's obviously going to affect them whether or not they have a new head coach in, or if he was just indisposed of at the time, and he will be back for the playoffs. We don't know, but from what I've heard, it is going to be a new man in. Literally would have got their feet under the door. Whether or not it's Finn Kearns just calling the plays for the offense, and their defensive coordinator Anto Burke, they're continuing in his role, or they've got a new man in. We really don't know. Again, it's been radio silence from them. So that sort of bad situation, I suppose, with the Panthers, isn't only going to be exasperated by this like crushing loss. Like, you've been absolutely hammered, like well beaten, going into the playoffs off the back of what is a really good season for the Panthers. Like, they've been brilliant this year, and they just seem to have sort of fallen apart as the race takes is sort of a crucial point. They're really just getting to that last hurdle and faltering here. So it's really disappointing to see from them. But hopefully those players that are there, they've got some strong voices in that locker room, big leaders. If they can come out and just get a handle of the guys and just say, look, we got to do this together, and we got to just really buck up and knuckle down and go as hard as we can at the Rebels, and they can beat them. Absolutely. If they all perform well, they can beat them. But I think they've just made things so much more difficult by the situation that's unfolded in the last fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question?
I want to. Oh, well, I was going. Well, you can go ahead first.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm sorry to hijack. Alex, you're fairly well versed in AFI bylaws. Well, relatively. You can't play in a playoff if you haven't played 2 regular season games. Can you coach in a playoff if you haven't coached 2 regular season games?
I am not certain, but I don't think there's any bylaws that sort of police that or even broach that subject. I imagine as long as you have passed the AFI coaching course and you've got your level 0, then it doesn't matter. I don't think there's no such real thing as like coaching transfers. I don't think there's any bylaw cooling off period for that. So I don't think they're held back by that. The one thing they might be held back with, even if they had like, I don't know, some American who's holidaying in Dublin for the next month, they would have to be AFI level 0 certified, not just any.
Travis Kelce is in town.
He isn't. Yeah, his
Thunder Center exclusive.
He is not AFI level 0 certified, Chris.
Oh, true.
Very true. The game of football. What does he know about the game of football? Nothing, because he isn't AFI level 0 coaching certified.
He couldn't possibly tell us anything.
You think this man is higher than level 0?
No.
Nonsense.
But Reen, I wanted to ask you the question because, again, going back to last week when we previewed the game, I made the point that in the last 3 games, the Panthers' defense had conceded over 30 points in each game, and that was, for me, a concern coming up against this UCD side. And to concede, obviously, more than 30, double that, is a bit concerning coming into the playoffs. But I also want to preface that with saying that if there is any Panther there worrying about the team at the moment, they still have to remember that you're only 1 game away from the Shamrock Bowl. And that's still absolutely massive, despite how the last 3 games and whatever off-field antics is going on. You are only 1 game away from the Shamrock Bowl.
Well, this is exactly it. Yeah, I mean, like for the Panthers, they can look at this specific regular season, not even looking forward to the playoffs, as a total success, regardless of what happened in the last couple of games. You can look at it based on the past results. So they were out of the playoffs last season on a technicality, but they only scraped in as it was on merit. And this season, they have been head and shoulders above where they were last season in terms of their overall performance against a lot of good teams in that Premier Division. The last couple of games, yes, have been tough, but they've been hit with injuries. They've been hit with, as you said, coaching suspensions, etc., etc. So it's been a tough little finish to the season. And then, lo and behold, they are one game from the Shamrock Bowl, as you said. They're going up against that Rebels team that they are super familiar with, that they did lose, admittedly, by, I can't remember what the scoreline was. It was something like 24 points they lost by. Yeah,
36-12.
So, I mean, a 24-point margin is not a massive amount to overcome in the next game because now they have Manny O'Mara getting more and more familiar with that offense. They're going to have Finn Kearns back for that game. It's looking up for the Panthers, and they are one away from the Shamrock Bowl, so who knows? But my takeaway from that game is not so much on the Panthers side. The score that they let against them is on the UCD side of the ball. Fion's favourite phrase this season has been 1A, 1B. This is no longer 1A, 1B. UCD are the best team in the country by far. The Rebels are great, but they are not at UCD's level. UCD are number one, Rebels are number two.
Okay, fair point, and I do agree with that. Then one more question quickly to I'll open up to either Alex or Chris, whoever wants to answer it. But UCD were able to put 60 points up on officially through the table, or sorry, unofficially through the table. You see beside on the screen, the third best team in the country, without their leading touchdown scorer, Tom Donovan. Maybe Alex, you'd probably be the better one because I'm going to ask about the Trojans specifically. But, I know the Trojans played UCD very tight in Darragh a couple of weeks ago, only winning 16-10 UCD did. Seeing how well that offense performed on Sunday has to play into sort of the thinking for the Trojans and has to be putting. I know Chris will say they are not fearful of the UCD, but there has to be some sort of caution put against them just seeing how well they did on Sunday with admittedly half the game with backups.
Yeah. Sorry, it was you, Alex.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We're just going to get coach speak from you for the Trojans, so I'll do it on your behalf. Don't worry. No, I don't think anyone in the Trojans, they're certainly not going to be going into the game scared. Look, there's games you're going to go into, you're going to be like, right, we are up against it. But sometimes that, galvanizes you as well. Be like, right, remember this game, we just about lost it, but we had it really close. They had it right there as well, Chris, right? You had multiple plays with it, not to, not for you to relive this.
Oh, I know.
Multiple plays within scoring distance that could have given you the lead. So I think that will do it. That will be a great motivator for them. Like the guys, if they're just, remember how close we were, we can get there again. And I think it does sort of give a really a boost to the guys that they've been there before. They can do it. They just have to be better because this is the playoffs again. And the Trojans are a great organization, very professional, good coaches there. They'll have the guys ready and they'll have them in playoff mode. So I don't think we're going to see a result like we saw there on Sunday. In this one, I think it's going to come down to it and be really close. I think, UCD are probably the better team, but on any given Sunday and all that jazz.
Yeah. And again, a big thank you to UCD for giving us the opportunity to commentate on the game. Really enjoyed it. Got great to actually see the game finish this time, which was even better. So that's always a plus. Moving on to another game that had a live stream and an unbelievable production. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Vikings 0, the Belfast Knights 26. They had a production crew in for this game. It was the Vikings alumni game as well, 25th anniversary. So they got a a TV crew in to live stream the game. And my God, that's that's the future. That is what you want the AFI to be one day, with multiple cameras, action replays, transitions, live score. Unbelievable. And commend the Vikings for putting that together and organizing that. Obviously, it's a shame that the result for them couldn't match the effort that they put in. It was despite it being 0-0 at halftime. Liam Ryan, of course, was on commentary on the days. Probably one of the most entertaining 0-0 draws in the first half AFI history. Has obviously never watched the Pirates and Bulldogs in 2018 play, but listen, we'll let that go. But Chris, just a fantastic production, and something that we hopefully will see more of in the very near future.
Yeah, like you and I, over the last however many years, have had what would we love to see, or we've been involved in we're going to do the Shamrock Bowl, or we're going to do something here, there, everywhere. And if you could put into reality everything we've ever wanted to do, I think that is it. That is it. It was my only critique would be just get the cameras up a little bit higher. But Danny McGuire's field you can. But that was perfect. The replays, the breakdown, the different angles. It is, if we had one of those a week, this league would be insane. Absolutely insane. And the amount of interest you would develop from that. And the amount of sponsorship. I think we spoke about this, and I said this: if we're able to give a good product to a potential sponsor for the league, something of that quality of stream will get them interested. So it's most definitely the future. I do feel sorry for the Vikings getting shut out in 4K. That is less than ideal. And it was strange because we've had a guy who's had such a rocky season in Suntan Miller to go in for 2 as well. The game had it all. It was emotional. Had all the plot lines.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, on the actual game itself, the Vikings would probably be happy that the Admirals lost and that they don't have to play the Knights for a 3rd week in a row. Seemed to be a tough outing there. That defensive line from the Knights just really manhandled them, and the secondary played fantastic as well. I can't remember how many interceptions they ended up with, but definitely I've seen clips of a couple on there. So they did really well, and they leapfrogged the Admirals as well and go into that straight into that Shield final, which is great for them. Again, that's a really good season. I think the Knights were probably one we were talking about being down there and battling with the Minotaurs. We probably overestimated what the Vikings could do and underestimated the Knights. So Knights can be happy enough with that season. They'll want to finish it with silverware now. And the Admirals Vikings semi-final is also a great matchup as well. That was the season opener, 24-all. So a sort of a what have you learned since then? Show us everything you've learned and who'll come out on top to play the Knights in a Shield game. So I think that's exciting.
I think it'd be great if Cork managed to get past UL. I'm not shitting on UL, by the way. I have a lot of love for them. But I would love it to be Knights Cork, and I'm going to dub it the Future Bowl, where we have Liam Moore versus Jake Kennedy. And that's you've got the top of whatever's going to happen when it's Trojan Panthers in the Shamrock Bowl. And you've got here's the established stuff, and then you've got down at the Shield level for the future of the sport.
I like that, yeah. And whoever wins is the next Ty Henry. Whoever loses is a bust, right?
Yeah, they're just shot. They're taking a back and shot.
Yeah.
There could be only one youthful QB. It's just Ian McGuire on the side of the pitch, just the boys.
Although we did already see that matchup, and it is 1-0 to Cork at the moment after there was a 44-6 win. So definitely the Knights will have to upstage that if they want to keep Liam Moore's, I guess, alive in Chris's view. So
High stakes. It's high stakes. But the Admirals
It's
will
very
have to
high
travel
stakes.
to Belfast for that one, to be fair. Or either team. Both teams are going to have a long trip against them no matter who wins. So, we'll
It's
be
in the
interested
sports
to see
campus.
if
So they know where they're going.
Yeah, exactly. But still,
So,
it'd be interesting to see if that game's any different up in Belfast.
On neutral ground.
Or is it on neutral ground? I don't know. Do we actually
no, it's
have
in
an
the
answer
sports
on
campus.
Yeah,
in
it's in the sports
Blanchardstown.
campus.
Yeah,
that?
it's a double header like the Shamrock Bowling did one playoffs the week before.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so not that big a journey then.
No.
Well,
Still long for
easy-
Cork. Cork's
easy.
far as shit.
Yeah. Everywhere is a long journey.
Cork is far from Cork, for fuck's sake. Like,
True. This is true.
Yeah. Right. That is all the Premier Division. We have 2 games in Division 1 to look at. We'll look at very quickly this first one. Jets 6, Cowboys 61. I guess the big story point in this game is, look, the Jets look like they're getting bodies on board, and they look like they are. Well, no, it doesn't look like they did. They finished the game, which I know. Look, it's not meant to sound like like taking a shot, but yeah, it's not. But it's about progress, and they've made progress this year. Where they started with low numbers, they had even lower numbers. They weren't finishing games. Now they're after getting numbers, and now they're after finishing games, which leads them, whether or not this whole Viper situation comes to fruition, leads to maybe a playoff game. But even then, possibly, and Chris, I'll start with you first on this one as the former Jet, possibly a brighter future than people envisioned at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think I don't think we were alone in having a secret kind of pull for when do we think the Jets will fold this season. I think they had such a poor season last year that I can attest to being there. And the off-season wasn't much better. They bled players. They've come back with a skeleton squad. They've lost their chairman this year. They lost their head coach coming out of last season. They lost their head coach coming into the season and then got another one. So it's like nothing between they won the bowl and got that cursed medal off them has went well for the Jets. So to see them getting to the point of the season where we're like, right, we're going to host the Cowboys. We're going to last all 4 quarters. We're going to score points. We're going to score at home, which they've done in every game. Which is an improvement.
I believe they were scored first in this game too.
At one stage,
the
Jets led against the Cowboys. Like
more than a lot of teams can say this year.
Yep, take the wins where you can get them. And should the Vipers debacle be the Vipers debacle, and we then see the Jets versus the Giants in the Shield playoffs, I don't think that's going to be the hammering that everyone's going to expect. I think it's still going to go one direction, but I definitely think there's some good rookies that have come in there. They feel like more of a team now, especially now they've got the board side sorted out, and rumors of like sort of previous coaches coming back to them. They're not going away. They're definitely going to be back next season.
Yeah. Before we move on, should get to this comment by Reggie. In response to, I guess, finding out live on air that he is going to the sports campus in Blanche. If it was communicated, maybe you would have known by now.
If you listen to the Domestic Game podcast, Joe said it once. This is how we get our information.
Just keep an eye on the AFI socials. They give us all of the information all of the time.
But I can understand why Reggie hasn't been told and doesn't know, because on the official spreadsheet that we all got at the start of the year, the fixtures, it specifically said the higher seeded team would play at home in the Shield final. So,
but
there you go.
There was an email that went out like a week and a half before that said that the Shield will be like a double header at a neutral ground. But then the spreadsheet came out, so everyone thought that was the official. They would do well letting people know, because if you're hosting like the Knights are, if you're hosting the Shield final, if you believe you're hosting the Shield final, like you're going to make it debit. So you're going to put like some stops, you're going to get like some sort of stuff organized, and you don't have that long to do it. So yeah, they would do well clarifying.
Yeah. The big 5 litre bottle of fizzy oranges there waiting for you at the finish line, lads. Don't worry about it. With the plastic cups. Proper day out at the park. Don't worry about it. Let's move on then to the other one, because this one was another one that had big implications for playoff in this one in Division 1. It was the Wexford Eagles against the Causeway Giants. The winner of this game knew that they'd be going to the postseason to fight for promotion. It was the Eagles that came out on top, 19 points, to 0. Again, a valiant effort from the Giants. Unfortunately, weren't able to secure playoff football. Instead, it's going to be the Wexford Eagles that go up to Craigavon to face the Cowboys.
Not according to your table, though, of course.
Not according to my table that I have not changed properly.
It's unofficial. Who cares? Who
cares? Yeah. Look, listen, I'm going to change that in a second. I'm going to put Rhino's top, and we're going to be playing.
You don't like that table? Go look at the official table, because it doesn't fucking exist.
Oh wait, you got one. It was that one. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Anyway, listen, I'll get into that in a sec. But look, lads. Despite whatever you're seeing on the screen there, pay no attention to it. But despite the Giants having a really good season, their run for promotion stops in Gorey, and it's going to be the Eagles now that are going to be dreaming of moving up to the Premier Division. Rin, sorry, I start with you on that one.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we saw this kind of Giants season being front-loaded with maybe arguably some of the easier teams that they were going to face, and the more difficult games coming towards the end of the season. And that's really what's kind of happened here. This is not a slight on the Giants. They have absolutely had an incredible season. I personally was not predicting it at all. I thought they were going to be back there with the Vipers and the Jets fighting it out for that last position in the Shield. But they have proved me wrong. They have had an excellent season, and it is absolutely no... They shouldn't feel upset about losing to that Eagles side, because it is exceptionally well drilled. And we saw again at the weekend that defense is pretty mean. Obviously not letting in a single point versus the Giants, who have been putting up decent points in the last few weeks.
Yeah. The Giants, of course, were without regular starting quarterback Nate Wilson. They started Jig McCoy. Unfortunately, he only lasted 2 drives until he went out through injury, and Nathan Chapman had to go in. So there was a bit of moving pieces around, and especially for a game that had so much riding on it, it's probably the last thing he wanted to do in such a vital position as well. But look, listen, these things cannot be controlled. I'm going to pop that comment back up and because we actually talked about this off air, and lads, I'm going to open it up here. I don't mean to jump away from the game, but because I saw Chris and Alex looking at it keenly there. The Division 1 table is a sham. I said, I'm sorry, okay, I got Eagles and Giants mixed up, whatever. But if the Vipers games count as forfeits due to not completing games, then the Jets should be treated the same. Forfeited 1 and did not finish 2 other games, if I'm not mistaken, from Cannibalistic Cam. I can see where the disappointment is with that. The problem is the 2 games that didn't finish were down as abandonments, I believe, due to player safety. Now, Reen, you were talking to us before we went on air and talking about that. Technically, you have to be below 11 players for that to be the case. So it's a very convoluted matter here that we're not too sure of. Now, technically in the bylaws, and I haven't put this in the table, I haven't put the table right anyway, but I haven't put this in the table either, that the Vipers season technically should go down as every game being a 30-0 forfeit. because they have forfeited 2 games, which will wreak havoc on my stats, and I really don't want that to happen. But I'll open up
It's
table
the
on
same.
that
The head-to-head just gets it. It's all right.
Oh God. But yeah, lads, I don't know if Alex or Reen just had a chat there. I'll let you come back in now in a second, Reen. But Alex or Chris, whoever wants to go first on that one, what would your response to that be?
Yeah, look, I mean, the bylaws do state that, as you said, the 2 forfeits will result in your season going down as a forfeited season. So every game is a 30-0 forfeit. And that, in this case, what the Vipers have done, they forfeited 2 games, didn't play them. Whereas what the Jets did, they forfeited 1 against us. It was just straight up forfeit, same as the Vipers have done. And then the other 2 were technically they are abandoned by the referee. It's at the referee's discretion. It's meant to be under 11 players. You can't continue. That's when, the game cannot continue. But it's also at the referee's discretion. Like in cases where, say, you've got 13 players, but one of them only plays quarterback and the other only plays punter. The referee, it is of the referee's discretion to say, well, then you can't. You've got less than 11 just normal players. They can make a judgment call. And they can make a judgment call with, any game reasonably, like they are the arbiters of the sport. So they typically suggest, just seeing this comment coming out, wording is did not complete in the bylaws, not forfeit.
Or that.
All right, well, then maybe it's a misinterpretation of the bylaws from us. Again, it's all amateur bylawism at the minute. There's no, we haven't been communicated any sort of, decisions by the commissioner or board to lead us in any direction. So we are just making interpretations. As far as my interpretation of it was that, yeah, the Vipers had 2 forfeits. The Jets have 1 forfeit in 2 games that were abandoned for player safety concerns. It's not the same as a forfeit. Whether or not you say that the Jets, caused that game to not be completed by not having enough players, I don't know who determines that as the commissioner. Like, they have got to make a decision on whether or not they were also deemed forfeits that were the fault of the Jets, or were they just circumstances where the referee said the game can't continue and it's neither team's fault.
Yeah, like the Razorbacks, when they I would say they did forfeit against the Cowboys, because they had 25 players, and they were like, no, we don't fancy it, lads, going into the second half. And yes, while the Jets have abandoned a couple of games after a single kick in the third quarter, like, if they're going with 14 guys and the ref's like, you can take the mercy rule, so you can't hear at this point. And they have. The fact that half a game of football was played is better than the game being abandoned altogether.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm being honest here in terms of who's right, who's wrong, it's neither the Jets nor the Vipers who are wrong in this instance. It's the bylaw. Just because the wording says did not complete, it doesn't even say is at fault for not completing. It says does not complete. That means anybody who hasn't completed a game this season falls under that specific bylaw. Now, I think it gets sorted out somewhere further up, but this is the point. They're convoluted. They're open to interpretation. And there is only going to be one interpretation in this. I think, to be honest, the Vipers being upset about their season being put down as all forfeits, they can't really be, to be honest. It's cut and dry. Did not complete 2 games, forfeited 2 games. Therefore, the season should be put down as 13-0 losses all across the board. My reading of it, the bylaws is the Jets probably should have the same done to them, just because they did not complete 2 games this season, forfeited 1. But this is the issue. The bylaws are open to interpretation, so that is going to need to be looked at in the AGM, the upcoming AGM. But until then, I mean, like, we're nitpicking here for bottom of the table, and we kind of understand that neither team were in a good position this season. So let's ignore the kind of bullshit about rules and just focus on building blocks for next season. I think make sure we have a decent platform in place for building both of these clubs, because that's what it needs to be.
Yeah. Could there be a case of both the Jets and the Vipers did not complete games? So by letter of the law, 30-0 season, done dusted. But rather than rob fourth place of a game, they went, okay, who's less at fault? One of these guys, right? These guys have forfeited twice. That's technically slightly worse than the Jets not being able to complete games, if we ignore the reasons for why that took place. And they were like, yeah, we'd rather have another game of football than give the Giants, now in this case, a bye week. Because is the Shield not all about development?
Yeah, it is. It is, to be fair. That's
a conspiracy theory. Do not.
But if we're like, merit based on people's opinions, my opinion is the Razorbacks are the team most at fault because they didn't complete a game when they had the fucking numbers to do it. So they're the team most at fault in my eyes and should be booted out of the Shield.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, I'll probably get a bit of hate, but yeah, look, it's all fun and games. I don't really, I'm not advocating anybody being booted out of the playoffs.
Also, the Shield isn't even in the bylaws. The Shield didn't exist when the most recent iteration of the bylaws was written. So, let the league do what they do. As long as every game is played, I'd be happy. We can't have a situation where we're stripping games away from clubs. Alex, you've had this game.
Yeah.
A Jets versus Vipers game to decide who goes into the Shield. I know there's not very much time to make that happen, but that to me would be the ideal solution.
There could have, if you wanted to make that argument, you could have maybe if, the Vipers don't have to play the Razorbacks this weekend due to their rearranged fixture.
Yeah.
Still content, man. I mean, fucking 15 minutes of bylaws discussion there, on a Tuesday. Way to get the blood pumping.
Yeah. I could feel my will to live draining away as we were just talking about specific wording and bylaws. It's
just make a decision. League make a decision. That is the.
I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. It's waiting on the decision.
Takeaway, yeah.
That's what it is. Let the Giants know who they're going to be hosting Saturday week. Come on, lads. Just let's just do that. Okay?
Well, the Giants. What do you mean, Daragh? The Giants will be traveling to the Cowboys.
Thanks.
What's your take on the bylaws? Let us know in the comments below.
I mean, it is the most engagement we've gotten possibly all season, this juicy bylaws debate.
Well, look, listen, speaking of engagement, and that's one thing I wanted to finish on tonight, because I know we're a little over time, was obviously
you got engaged. Congratulations.
That's a year ago now. That's a year ago now at this stage. Don't get me in any more trouble than I'm already in. No, obviously last week, there was a number of rants last week. But obviously the one that seemed to catch everybody's attention was the league and their communication, which is obviously great at this time right now. First of all, thank you to anyone that reached out and let us know that you were kind of on our side or for supportive. It's been really, really good at this past week to know that, we're not talking bollocks here, and that we kind of everyone has, sorry, Chris, that we're not just on an island making up conspiracy theories here. Everybody seems to have the same frustrations going on. And hey, look, it worked, guys. The movement worked. We got one table. and we got 1 day of score updates. So progress, I guess.
I'd say so.
But yeah, well, look, it is. But
we can't keep throwing digs at the league so long as they are actually genuinely making progress. That's what we're trying to push. So I'd call it a success. We're going to continue to push them. So hopefully it's all positive.
And year-on-year improvement across the board.
That's exactly what I want to get at as well. Is it's about continuing to push them to make sure we get to the league at a point where we're all proud of it. And look, I caught Aidan on Talking Balls last week, and he said the thing that I knew he was going to say was we don't have the volunteers to help us with this, and when it comes to website communication stuff like that. Again, I'm not going to go back. If you want to know my thoughts on that, watch last week's show, and I've already explained that already. And look, here we more comments. League updates when exactly, or website updates when, the league said what they always come volunteer for us. Yeah, but when you ask to volunteer for them, they leave you on red or decide you're not good enough to volunteer for them. So listen, that's just the way it is. Well, no, I'm not getting back into it again. Just wanted to say thank you for all the support messages. Really, really appreciate it. We are going to continue to push out the content as we get into playoff season. We are going to continue to make sure that we are at least somebody is producing content that would make you proud to play in the league. I leave the Instagram story open for comments. Unfortunately, we won't have time to get to them today. We'll try and get to them next week when we will preview the playoff games and look ahead to where they're going to be won and where they're going to be lost. One last comment, Alex. I've worn this jersey. Okay, I've worn this. I'm a man of my word. I have one comment. How in the bloody hell do we have the same jersey size? How, like seriously?
I don't know. I feel American football jerseys are kind of like one size fits all. Really, you just put any number of X's before them, and anyone can wear them. Doesn't matter. But I will say, thanks for being a good sport, wearing the jersey. I'll get it back in 2 weeks' time. I know you'll be well used to wearing it by then. And looking in the mirror, thinking I too could be a 6 foot blonde athlete, but it's not for all of us. You just keep trucking out there with your 6'8" personality.
I am never watching this show back again, just so I don't, or put a little cover on this part of the screen here, so I don't have to watch myself in such horrible attire. But anyway, Chris, Rian, Alex, really appreciate you guys staying on tonight and having a chat about it. Like I said, we'll be back again next week. We'll talk, look ahead to the playoffs, both Shield play. Do we know which one's the Shield and which one's the play? Is the Shield Premier Division play Division 1?
I fucking thought they were both Shield.
I'm hearing plate now as well, so I don't know.
I think they're interchangeable names for the same thing.
Of course. And of course the Shamrock Bowl and Division 1 playoffs we're going to look ahead to as well. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Make sure you keep up to date with our socials at UnderCenterPod. You keep up to date with stats, tables, better ones that are actually correct rather than the one you're seeing on screen. Fixtures, results, and like I said, we'll be back next week. We'll review the games. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe, and we will, of course,